everybody. So today we're going to look at the different types of poetry that we're going to be working with during this new poetry unit. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a couple types and then I'm going to show you an example of one, and you're going to notice which one of the types of poetry that I wrote a poem in, and then tomorrow I'm going to have you try your own poem. I'm not going to give you one today to try because your social studies discovery ed assignment is due today and I want you to focus on that if you haven't already turned it in. Okay, so tomorrow you're going to be working on creating your own poem that I assign, and today after watching this, if you want to try your own, you're more than willing, and you can email me your example of your poem and I would love to read some that you've tried today if you get bored and you want to work on one. Okay, so today I'm just going to show you an anchor chart that has a couple different poetry types that we will be working with this unit. Here are the different poetry types that we'll be working with. I didn't hang up the anchor chart, but I probably should have instead of just having it on the table. But here it is, and we're going to go through each one. Okay, so different poetry types. I'm going to use my handy dandy pointer here. Okay, so an acrostic poem, you probably all have either written one or seen one, right? It's a poem which the first letters of each line spell a word or phrase. So the phrase would be spelled vertically, or the word, right? The most common one is to do your name, and then a describing either word or phrase that go across like this. Okay, so we might practice with some acrostic poems. The next one, an ABC poem, is each line begins with the letter of alphabet. So if your first line begins with A, your next line would be B, and then the following line would be C, and so on to Z. An autobiographical poem is a poem written about oneself. So it's kind of like an autobiography. Okay, it's a poem written about you. A ballad. A ballad is a poem written to tell a story about a major event. Okay, so a ballad tells a story about a major event that has happened in the past. A cinquain poem is a 5-line poem that uses color to express feeling. So a cinquain poem, we're going to practice with cinquain poems later in the lessons, but it's a poem that is using color to express how you feel, okay, or to express how someone is feeling. A diamante poem is an unrhymed 7-line poem in diamond shape. So if you can see here, I drew the little diamonds so you can envision this type of poem. And if you notice, the first and the last line are going to have to be the shortest, and the middle one is going to have to be the longest if you're going to keep the diamond shape. A haiku, this is a very popular poem too. A haiku is a 3-line poem with the total of 17 syllables. First and last lines have 5 syllables, and the middle has 7. Okay, so to count out syllables, you might want to clap or stomp your feet. Okay, those of you that take band or music lessons might be good at this one because you're used to counting those beats. So just like you count beats, you're going to count your syllables that you say. So you have to say them out loud and maybe clap, snap, tap your foot when you hear new syllables to make sure you have 17. Okay? A limerick poem is a humorous poem that has 5 lines with AA, BB, A rhyme scheme, which means the A's all rhyme and the B's rhyme. So the B's and A's, the B's don't rhyme to the A's, right? The A's rhyme with the A's and the B's rhyme with the B's. Okay? A rhyming poem uses rhyme. Okay, so if a rhyming poem has 2 lines that rhyme, they're called couplets. If a rhyming poem has 4 lines that rhyme, they're called quatrains. A shape poem is describing an object written in the shape of that object. So if you're writing about maybe a basketball, you're going to write the poem in the shape of a basketball. Or if you're writing a cloud poem, you might write it in the shape of a cloud, like kind of like this, the pink scribble around. An ode, an emotional lyric poem addressing a particular subject. So an ode is usually meant to be sung. Okay, so it's an emotional lyrical poem. And our last one, which a lot of you have showed interest in from the Padlet, is an epic. An epic poem is a lengthy narrative poem that includes detail and adventures of characters from the past. The word epic comes from the Greek word epos, meaning story, word, or poem. So we read epic poems mainly about Greece, okay, because it comes from the Greek word epos. So a lot of you have shown interest in epic poems, so we may be working with those as well. Okay, so one last look about all the different types of poetries that we will be looking at during this poetry unit. Okay, so I created this poem, okay, and do you like my new whiteboard that just came in yesterday? I'm very excited about it. And I also got this mini whiteboard, which might be easier to use for a desk or having it back at school on a little table. So here's the poem that I made, all about fall. Fall, breezy, beautiful, calming, exciting, relaxing, red leaves, pumpkin taste, cool wind, running, falling, crunching, colorful, fresh fall. So with my marker, so I can take it off. Okay, what do you notice about this poem? You notice that I wrote it in a diamond shape, right? So you can see my first and last lines are the shortest, and my second line and my second to last line are about the same, and my middle line, the red leaves, pumpkin taste, cool wind, is the longest to make that diamond shape. Okay, what else do you notice? You might notice that I have the ing. Oops, that was a bad line. Repeating ing. You might notice that I have repeating adjectives. That I have lots of adjectives to describe how or what fall is like to me. Then you may notice I have longer kind of describing words. I describe leaves being red. I describe tasting pumpkin, and I describe how the wind might feel cool. Okay, so this poem, it's a little messy here, is what type of poem from our anchor chart? What type of poem do you think it would be? It would be the Diamante poem, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a 7-line poem. Oops, you couldn't see that. Let me try again. 7-line poem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a 7-line poem in the shape of a diamond. And it has the shape of the diamond here. Okay, so that's just one example of a poetry type that we'll be using this unit. Okay, so today I'm not going to have you do any activities that involve poems, but tomorrow I'm going to put an assignment up that's going to have you try one of these poems. Okay, if you're really excited and you're eager to start and you want to practice today, go ahead and practice today about one of these types and then email it to me. Okay, I would love to read poems that you have created. Okay, so you'll have to tell me what poem it is that you chose to write, and then you'll just simply email it to me. But only if you're bored and you want something to do today. Okay, because I'll put an assignment on tomorrow. All right?